Let's dive back in time to the mysterious Hinterkaifeck Murders, an enigmatic tale that has captivated the world for decades. In 1922, a peaceful Bavarian farm became the haunting crime scene of a brutal massacre, leaving 6 members of the Gruber family lifeless. Unravel the secrets concealed within the secluded farmstead, as investigators struggle to decipher a perplexing puzzle without any clear motives or suspects. The whispers of the past echo through the ages, inviting you to venture into a haunting world of suspense and intrigue. In the haunting winter of 1922, a remote German farmstead became the stage for unspeakable horror. 6 lives were brutally extinguished in the dead of night, leaving the world shrouded in fear and mystery. Were these killings the work of a deranged serial killer, a family feud spiraling out of control, or something even more sinister, like the shadowy orders of Hitler's henchmen? In this chilling tale, we delve into the enigmatic enigma of the Hinterkaifeck Murders. The date was Friday, the 31st of March, 1922. The Hinterkaifeck farm, nestled amidst the snowy fields of Kaifeck, seemed like a tranquil hamlet near the small town of Wangen in the depths of southern Germany. With its rustic charm and self-sufficiency, the farm boasted local trading connections and an abundance of food. However, the picturesque facade concealed a darkness that was about to be unleashed. Inside the farmhouse lived farmer Andreas Gruber, his wife Cecilia, their daughter Victoria Gabriel, and her 2 young children, Cecilia, aged 7, and Joseph, just 2 years old. They shared their home with a live-in maid named Maria Baumgartner. The day seemed ordinary, with chores completed and the night settling in. But Andreas couldn't shake off the unease that had gripped him since the previous week. He had discovered enigmatic footprints in the snow, leading from the thick woods at the rear of the farm right up to the back of the house. Strangely, there were no tracks leading away. The thought of an intruder lurking undetected left Andreas anxious, fearing for his family's safety. The farm had been plagued by other bizarre occurrences as well. Andreas confided in a neighbor about strange noises from the attic, items being moved without explanation, and a mysterious newspaper arriving at their doorstep. Despite these odd happenings, Andreas declined the offer of a gun for protection. As night descended, the Grubers retired to their beds, unaware of the gruesome fate that awaited them. The murders that followed were heinous, shrouded in darkness, and their true timeline forever obscured by a delayed report of the incident. 4 agonizing days passed before neighbors stumbled upon the bodies, concealed under a macabre pile of straw in the barn. The victims, stripped and drenched in each other's blood, had been gruesomely stacked atop one another. The authorities were finally notified on April 5, 1922. Inspector George Reingruber, arriving from Munich, led the police investigation. Dr. Johann Baptist Allmüller performed the on-site autopsy and sent the victims' heads for specialized examination, but the results yielded no significant leads. The crime scene painted a terrifying picture. Each victim had suffered dreadful wounds to the skull, head, and face, suggesting swift and precise killings. The elder daughter, Victoria, and wife, Cecilia, had also been strangled, hinting at a possible shift in the killer's intentions. Was the plan foiled? Was there more than one murderer? Or were the killings driven by deeply personal motives targeting the women of the household? The youngest child, Joseph, seemingly died in his cradle, while the rest of the family was led outside to the barn before meeting their gruesome end. The maid, Maria Baumgartner, suffered the same fate as Joseph, slain in her bed. To make matters even more chilling, accounts suggest that one of the children may have still been alive as the bodies were concealed under the straw. Little Cecilia, Victoria's daughter, is believed to have been bleeding and in pain, pulling clumps of her own hair in confusion and grief. Police reports reveal the full extent of the horrors inflicted on each family member. Cecilia's struggles amidst the straw-laden darkness, her desperate cries unanswered, send shivers down the spine. Yet despite their thorough investigation, justice has remained elusive, and the shadows of the Hinterkaifeck murders continue to haunt us to this day. Upon arriving at Hinterkaifeck, Inspector Reingruber and his detectives were met with a scene already tainted by interference. The farmstead had been disturbed, visited by numerous individuals over the past 4 days. Nevertheless, the police persevered, gathering valuable evidence from the house in their relentless pursuit of clues. Large sums of money were discovered, dismissing robbery as the primary motive. Instead, they pondered whether the killer had been living off the Gruber household's provisions. However, with the influx of neighbors and professionals visiting the farm, certainty remained elusive. Evidence of recent disturbance in the attic further deepened the mystery. Was it the Grubers themselves or something else entirely? The police found signs that the cows had been milked and other animals cared for since the murders, indicating that an unknown presence had occupied the house, perhaps with the intent of taking over the farm. Accounts from concerned neighbors supported this notion. Smoke rising from the chimney days after the incident hinted at a lurking intruder. But that was not the only shocking revelation. The police uncovered evidence of an incestuous relationship between Andreas and his grown daughter Victoria. Locals were already aware of this disgraceful secret, and both had served jail time for their offenses. This revelation only fueled the enmity some harbored against Andreas, who was known for his outspokenness on the matter. Despite an exhaustive search, the murder weapon remained elusive in the early stages of the investigation. Farms abound with tools that could be wielded as weapons, and the scent of the culprit proved too evasive even for trained canine sniffer dogs. Over a year after the murders, during site clearance, a farmhand named George Siegel made a chilling discovery. He identified the murder weapon as a mattock, a long-handled pickaxe, crafted by none other than Andreas Gruber himself. The mattock bore the marks of precision cuts inflicted on each victim, requiring a skilled hand in the use of agricultural tools. Unknown to Inspector Reingruber, this case would haunt him throughout his career. The horrors, especially those inflicted on the innocent children, only fueled his determination to catch the malevolent culprit. Over 100 people were questioned in connection to the murders, but no one was charged. Reingruber discovered that postmen and mechanics had visited the farm in the days following the murders. He diligently gathered information from neighbors, trying to build a profile of who might target the Gruber family and why. In his investigation of ghostly accounts, Reingruber found that the previous maid had fled the farm 6 months earlier, citing haunting experiences. Tragically, the new maid, Maria Baumgartner, had arrived just a day before her gruesome fate. As stories circulated, some even suggested that the devil himself had paid a visit that cold night, leaving his sinister footprints as proof. The possibility of a paranormal force behind the murders couldn't be dismissed entirely, but the question lingered. Was a human hand motivated by deep-seated vendetta responsible for the Gruber family's demise? As Inspector Reingruber delved into his investigations, the list of potential suspects expanded, each carrying their own dark secrets and motives. Among the first interviewees was neighbor Lorenz Schlittenbauer, whose account shed light on the footprints and attic noises. However, Schlittenbauer's story had not been corroborated, raising doubts about its credibility. The bitter feud between Schlittenbauer and Andreas added fuel to the fire. Schlittenbauer's desire to marry Andreas's daughter Victoria had been brutally rejected. He believed that young Joseph was his son until incest allegations shattered that illusion. The animosity over alimony payments only intensified his resentment. Schlittenbauer had more than one reason to wish for the Grubers' demise, and being a neighbor, he was well acquainted with Hinterkaifeck's secrets, including where Andreas kept his tools. Another suspect emerged, Victoria's husband, Carl Gabriel, who was believed to have perished during the war, although his body was never found. His return to confront the adulterous betrayal and possibly exact revenge on Andreas Victoria and Joseph couldn't be ruled out. The ghosts of unresolved family issues now merged with the shadows of suspicion. Unearthing political motivations added another layer of darkness to the case. Bavaria's conservative and Catholic population had attracted extremist groups seeking growth, such as the Freikorps Oberland, which had ties to the Nazis. Andreas Gruber, a Nazi sympathizer, stood out in the liberal community, and the upcoming local elections may have made him a target to thwart extremist influence. Suspicions pointed to a man named Adolf Gump, a member of the Freikorps Oberland, whose political activities made him a prime suspect. However, despite a deathbed confession from a relative suggesting Gump's involvement, the truth remained elusive. Was the confession a desperate attempt to shed light on a dark secret, or was it a red herring leading the investigation astray? Another chilling theory connected the murders to the Nazis themselves. The remote Hinterkaifeck farmstead could have served as a hidden refuge for extremist groups. If true, the killings might have been meticulously planned, with little regard for the family's lives as they were seen merely as obstacles to the Nazis' goals. The sinister allure of the farm-turned-sanctuary now revealed a macabre twist of fate. As Inspector Reingruber pursued leads, the list of potential killers grew. Joseph Bertel, a mentally ill man who had escaped from a nearby hospital, was in the vicinity at the time of the murders and was considered capable of mass homicide. The notorious Friedrich Harman, known for his vampiric tendencies and targeting male prostitutes, had also been linked to the Hinterkaifeck murders, further complicating the investigation. Were these individuals agents of terror, waiting in the darkness to strike? In the chilling shadows of the Hinterkaifeck case, numerous suspects and sinister motives emerged, but the truth remained elusive, buried in the darkness of the past. Inspector Reingruber's haunted dedication to solving the mystery drove him forward, but the web of secrets, lies, and eerie theories seemed endless. As the Hinterkaifeck farmstead silently watched over the passage of time, its secrets whispered only to the night. With each revelation, the tale grew more enigmatic, shrouded in the chilling uncertainty of who or what lay behind the gruesome tragedy. In spite of many suspects and plausible explanations, we are still left piecing together the puzzle of exactly what happened at Hinterkaifeck. This was not something Inspector Reingruber could achieve in his lifetime. Years of painstaking effort and subsequent reinvestigations only resulted in a case dangerously close to running cold. The latest police investigation in 2007 concluded that important evidence was now missing or not properly collected from the start. They deemed it unlikely that the case will ever be solved. The killer or killers may have lurked in the attic, hidden and listening to the family's daily lives, their malevolence growing with each passing moment. We are left with many possible perpetrators, and the consensus shifts away from Andreas's anxieties about the paranormal, focusing instead on the shortcomings of the original investigation and developments in the years following the murders. Decisions made during the initial probe, like sending only the decapitated heads for analysis, have drawn criticism, leaving doubts about whether vital evidence was overlooked. Even more tragically, the heads of the victims were somehow lost. Officially presumed destroyed following the outbreak of war, some investigators wonder if this was simply a result of negligence. Despite the lack of closure, the family rests headless. The buildings at the murder site were demolished and redeveloped over the years, leaving little behind for new researchers to analyze. Since 1971, even the town of Wangen has faded into memory, with the murder site now part of the larger town of Weidhofen, 43 miles north of Munich, in the modern-day Neuburg-Schöbenhausen district. A little-known memorial stands, bearing an inscription in the immediate vicinity of the crime, Memorial for Hinterkaifeck, where the family Gabriel Gruber fell victim to a godless hand on the 31st of March, 1922. The names and years of birth of the victims etched in stone pay tribute to the lost souls. Books, songs, and films released in the past 20 years continue to immortalize the mystery and speculation surrounding Hinterkaifeck. Yet despite the continued interest, the truth eludes us. As we approach a century since the fateful night, the awful truth is that we may never know who murdered those 6 people. Was it an escaped mental patient, a jealous husband seeking revenge, or even an early Nazi genocide? Hinterkaifeck, once known as Behind the Woods, has vanished from the map,